Welcome to the Ultimate Dental Podcast, the place where you can learn how to create a dental practice and a business life that you love. Listen in with Dr. David Moffet as he interviews successful entrepreneurs and successful business people and successful dentists as they share their business successes, their stories, and their breakthrough ideas, sharing pearls of wisdom that you can take back to your practice and implement immediately so that you can have that great practice with more patients, higher profits, and less stress. This is the podcast where great dental practices meet with successful business processes. Thanks for tuning in to the Ultimate Dental Podcast, the podcast where thought leaders, industry experts, and thriving practice owners reveal their very best tips, tools, and strategies that will help you grow your dental practice faster. Now, here's your host, Dr. David Moffet.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of the Ultimate Dental Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. David Moffet. I'm in Burrowing, New South Wales, where it's just gone 9 o'clock on a very cold Wednesday morning, 2 degrees Celsius outside, or 36 in the old language, 36 in Fahrenheit. I'm talking with Sean Hamel, who's in Kansas City, Missouri, where it is 6 o'clock in the evening, just gone, on the day before, Tuesday, and he tells me it's 98 degrees Fahrenheit.
It's balmy.
That's hot.
It's balmy here. Yeah, it's nice. Nice July day. Loving it. Good to be here with you, Dr. Moffet. Always enjoy our talks.
Yeah, nice to catch up again, Sean. We met earlier this year. You reached out to me to be a guest on your podcast, and I enjoyed our conversation so much. I felt that what you have to offer would be of great interest to my listeners and my viewers. So here we are. Sean, tell us what you do in dentistry and how you help dentists to have better practices.
Absolutely. So I'm the founder and CEO of The Art of Dental Marketing, where we do dental marketing very differently. We don't just focus on campaigns of visibility, or as we say, we don't get you seen, we get you chosen. Because a lot of dental marketing, as you know, doctor, is really expensive. It's very ineffective and it doesn't do a great job for practices. So a lot of doctors get very frustrated by marketing. And a lot of marketing companies make a lot of money off of doctors without delivering a lot of results. And so I do it quite a bit differently in terms of we use story, emotion, helping to really set every practice uniquely apart in the space, because it's not really the dentistry that you're selling, it's the patient experience that you're selling. And so we're just really good at strategy. We're really good at converting traffic, and we help doctors in a lot of different ways to grow their practice with a marketing plan specific for them versus something that's like templated or mass produced, where you're just kind of picking package A, B, or C. They put your practice in this framework. It goes out to the masses. And of course, because it's super generic and super clinical, it doesn't really work super well.
Yeah, well, the public's pretty astute when they see, choose between 5 dental practices and the marketing all looks the same. And which one do they call? They call probably none of them, because they're looking for somebody whose marketing really does appear different. What is the trend, Sean, in terms of making your marketing different for your clients compared to what's being mass produced?
Yeah, great question. I started this helping a friend, so I never really had aspirations to be a dental marketer or to own a dental marketing agency. But I always lead with that so people know this isn't coming from a position of like elitism. I did everything that I learned in college and none of it worked. And so I kind of fell on my face and had to pick myself back up. And because it was my friend's practice, I had skin in the game in terms of getting things to work for him. And so, as I'm doing everything that I think is going to work, which is, we've got a website, we've got SEO, we're doing paid campaigns, we're showing dentists, right? We're showing people doing dentistry, all of those things. It wasn't working. It was falling really flat. But my friend is extremely extroverted. And so he was out in the community doing things. And in doing things, he was just meeting a lot of people and getting a lot of quality patients based off who he was versus what he did. And so that's kind of when a light bulb for me went off. And especially as I met and talked to more doctors, seeing really that word of mouth referral engine is really strong for dentists. And so I just kind of asked myself why that is. and the emotional process. Why is that so easy to get somebody to come when it's a referral? And there's a lot of emotional things going on, but kind of the core tenets of that is you've got a kind of a passage of trust and safety that's happening. And so I realized if I could do that across all of the marketing, obviously the marketing would work better and it would convert better for the practices. And so we built a framework based on story, emotion, who the doctor is, and highlighting the patient experience. Because again, that's what people are gauging good dentist, bad dentist off of, is the experience of it. They don't know if their doctor that they chose is the best clinician. Everybody kind of says the same thing. So when we went off of those things and the real emotional drivers for that, and I kind of replicated that emotional process, we started to convert traffic like crazy, and his practice did really well. And of course, all of his friends started to say, "Well, who's doing your marketing?" And we just kind of started making a little name for ourselves. Now we help doctors all over the U.S. and hoping to expand internationally. But it's really a strategic, customized plan because every doctor is different. But understanding that statistically most people are afraid of you, understanding that most people you don't need to tell them ins and outs of the clinical aspects of what you're going to do to them. They just want to know, can you get me the outcome I want? And then lean into that fear basis with conveying trust, safety, comfort, social proof of these other people have gone through and had a good experience too. We've just been able to build a really solid growth machine where we help practices comprehensively, whether it's digital, whether it's through creating content, whether it's through ground marketing and community marketing. Is there a gym nearby? Is there an apartment complex nearby? Don't go in there and just drop off cookies and wave and leave. Like, let's get creative and strategic with these local community outlets where we can market. And we just built a really solid engine to help practices grow.
Yeah, you've raised a really good point really early, Sean, and that is that really the customer, the only point of difference is what's the experience, because they have no idea whether your margins are 20 microns or 50 microns or a millimeter. If they're not hurting, they think they're okay. And so what they will judge your practice on is how your dentist makes you feel, how the team makes you feel. Do I feel like they're spending enough time with me, not just in the clinic? Nobody wants to spend more time in the clinic, but they want you to spend more time chatting with them and just getting to know them and getting to be on their side. So
Right.
when a lot of team members don't even understand that about patient experience. I had a client yesterday say, if they've got their next appointment and they've already paid for it, why do we need to sit them down in the consult room? And I said, well, because there's more to that checkout than just, have you got, where's your money? When are you coming back? It's like, how was that? How did you feel? Whatever. And my wife said also, when I told her, she said, and we've also got to reaffirm and confirm that appointment, as opposed to just saying, oh, you've got your next appointment. Just clarify and just sink it in that one more time and saying, looking forward to seeing you then, and make it that experience. And you'll know this from who you market to. There's a lot of patients who still don't know the name of their dentist, but
Right.
they know how they make them feel.
Exactly. And it's such a big piece, especially when I get to speak and travel. And I feel really blessed. I genuinely love what I do. This has kind of been, it wasn't really on my life plan to own a dental marketing agency or to get to speak and educate on marketing, but there is such a need because dental marketing, a lot of the dental marketing that's out there, and you and I know talked about this. As far as actual marketing, there's not a lot going on, but there's a lot of sales going on. So people are selling dentist marketing services. When it comes to the fact that statistically most people are afraid of you, a lot of doctors forget that. And you have to remember that. It doesn't mean petrified, it's just nervous. I always liken it's like that first day of school jitters. They're just uncomfortable. So features and benefits, when you're coming from that, it's not really ideal in terms of getting me compelled to pick you or even to come see you to be excited about that appointment, as much as if you arrest my fears a little bit, but just telling me who you are, why you do what you do, what hobbies and interests you have, so I can find commonality, right? All of those kind of things that are just easy human wiring of how we're wired to assess threat, how we're wired to make decisions when we're coming from a place of fear and apprehension versus features and benefits. A lot of the marketers in the space, they treat it like they're selling a TV or something to people, and it's not that kind of a buying decision at all. And that's why a lot of times I think personally it falls on its face. There's a lot of reasons why, but a lot of doctors get stuck on what I've kind of coined the cycle of mediocrity. which it's just mediocre marketing all the way around. And it's not the marketing companies are doing this intentionally. A lot of them just don't know what they don't know. They think they're doing a good job, just like I thought I was doing a good job when I started. And had it not been for my friend's practice doctor, I probably wouldn't have put the skin in the game to really figure it out. I probably wouldn't be a dental marketer. But it's just one of those things, on the cycle of mediocrity, talking to hundreds and hundreds of doctors over the years, seeing kind of where people get hung up. And it starts with that generic messaging. Everybody looks the same and says the same thing. So because of that, there's no way to differentiate you to the average person. And people only have the information that you give them to make a buying decision. So if all you talk to them about is price, that's all they got to go off of. And if everybody looks the same, I don't have any way to gauge a decision. So I'm going to revert back to convenience for me. Who's cheapest, who's closest. So price and proximity, which really aren't good like legs to stand on for most doctors because they want to give a high level experience, right? So when you get locked into generic marketing, everybody gets stuck in price and proximity battles. And a lot of the marketing consultants and companies, again, they don't necessarily understand this to the level that we've been able to get to. And so all they know to do to differentiate the practices is to encourage the doctors to discount their work and run gimmicks and specials and devalue their work, which that doesn't work either because now you, the doctor, have all that overhead plus the expense. And now you got to do more dentistry just to break even. And your hips and shoulders, right? Everything's got a shelf life. And so we have to make profitability happen now. We can't just hope that if I take $1,000 off this service, it's going to work. But you get locked into generic messaging, price and proximity battles leads to a lot of discounts, which means docs get locked into what I call the freebie trap, where they get locked in this mindset of, well, I have to give my dentistry away in order to do dentistry. And so with that mindset and that approach comes in that big churn of undesirable patients, the patients you don't want to see. They're not good patients. They don't have good credit. They probably aren't going to pay their bill. If you find something and you diagnose, they're not going to say yes. They're not going to come back, right? And so when you're reliant on, and those are the people coming in from your marketing efforts, the marketing company thinks, oh, I got you 70 new patients. And you're like, these are not the patients I want. That leads to burnout and frustration, a breakdown of communication, right? The doctor gets burnt out, the team starts getting burnt out, the patient experience suffers, which then leads to kind of this desperation mode where the dentist is like, well, this marketing company is not working, so let's hire another one. And they interview a bunch of companies and they all promise them the world and, pick option A, B, or C. And they have a gimmick or they have an AI or a bot or something. But at the core of the marketing company's operational process is generic mass produced marketing. And so everything falls back to that, right? You don't really rise, like James Clear always says, you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your systems. The marketing is built to be generic and mass produced so the company can scale it out. So when all that wears off, you fall back to that system. The phone stops ringing, things slow down. You're not getting as many patients. You tell your marketing company, hey, the phone's not ringing as much. And then they say to you, oh, we'll run a special. And the cycle starts over. So we've got generic messaging, and they just stay in the cycle. And dentists hire 7, 8 marketing companies over the course of their career, maybe more. But they just stay in this loop. Or doctors just throw their hands up and say, you know what, dental marketing doesn't work. I'm just going to go with the cheapest option. I'm just going to do as much dentistry as I can. And they don't have a point of like, I want to do this kind of dentistry. I want to see these kind of patients. And so that kind of overall, Doc, is where marketing companies industry wide lock dentists into this cycle where they get conditioned to give their dentistry away. And the marketing's ineffective. They're charging a premium, but the doctors are getting very little in return. A lot of the agreements there's not a lot of accountability in there that the marketing company has to hit these things, right? So the agreements are built in the marketing company's favor too, but the dentists aren't marketers. And so they're not getting the help they need hey, patient experience is everything. Spend 5 extra minutes with that patient and it'll pay off in spades. If you do that long enough, it'll really pay off because the marketing companies don't have that expertise. They really don't. They see this as website SEO, paid ads. Here's your monthly report, call the 800 number. And that's the relationship. Like there's no creativity, there's no strategy, there's no talking about that doctor's goals. And so the industry kind of across the board suffers because it's just built to underperform.
Yeah. And the failure of those marketing companies is that they blame the dental office for not converting. And there is some point to that, but they've got to give them good quality patients as well. It's easy to convert somebody who's ready to buy as opposed to somebody who's just ready to shop around.
Mhm.
And so, like you said,
And it is.
convenience and location, those things drag down the quality of the patient.
Totally. And it is. I mean, there's definitely a component of this where it is on the office to convert the traffic, but there's training available, right? There's remedies to that. But as you said, even investing in all that training, if the marketing's geared at, well, let's go after the cheapest person, with the cheapest price, it doesn't, all the training in the world isn't going to fix that problem because that person coming in is getting the special and they're not coming back no matter how great you are. They're not coming back because if you say, hey, you need a root canal, they're calling everybody to see who's the cheapest and they're going to go there if they even get it done. So yeah, and to a degree too, doctors, I know what you guys go through in terms of just constantly being sold to, guys and gals obviously being sold to, but dentists kind of, they fuel the growth of these companies because they get sold stuff all the time and it sounds great. And I deal with doctors all the time that have, 4 or 5 consultants and this person does this and that person does that. And, they're just trying to succeed as an entrepreneur and everybody's telling them all of these different things and they don't know who to believe. And so they're just, constantly getting in these various engagements and things. So it is hard for the doctors too, but the doctors are really fueling this on the other side of it to a degree too, because they do get sold and they enter these engagements. And it's just, again, the companies are built to make money for the agencies. They're not really built to worry so much about, are we getting the ROI for these doctors to make sure that for every dollar they're giving us, we're giving them at least 3x, 5x back in gross production. Is that a cornerstone of our business, right? We can say it is, we can say whatever we want, but are we really providing that to people when they sign up with us? So it's kind of it's a slippery slope in a lot of directions, but for the most part, as far as why a lot of dental marketing doesn't work, in my opinion, it's because of that cycle. And it is fueled by the generic mass produced churn and burn. Get as many offices in as you can, pick template 1, 2, or 3. Here's your SEO. We use the same keyword structure for our other 500 clients. Everybody gets the same social media posts. Everybody gets the same blog posts. That's why it doesn't work. It just creates a bunch of noise and people completely ignore it.
Yeah, it's tricky. I've got a friend, all he wants to do is extract teeth. So he's after that. I'll see you now. I'll get your tooth out. I'll get you out of pain. He reckons in his town he's seeing 20% of the population for an extraction of some sort, but he doesn't get them back. He doesn't want them
Mhm,
back until they
mhm.
need him again. But you and I both know that it's so much easier to sell to an existing customer and to keep an existing customer happy than it is to sell big to a new customer. That's really hard work. It's like dating over and over again. It's like, let's have a relationship for a while with them. And when they like you, love you, and respect you, then they accept your diagnosis for, oh yeah, we need to fix this now. We need to fix this now. So the marketing companies, as you have pointed out, need to be providing dental practices with better clientele. The dental practices then need to be able to know how to convert those good quality inquiries into long-term patients. And sometimes
Absolutely.
they're not investing in their staff, they're not investing in their facility to match the message that a good marketing company is getting them good quality patients. The person who answers the phone is rude or just ignorant of what is good service. And that just falls down. And then so they say, well, this marketing's not working. Well, these might be working, but they haven't got, no point buying, as I say in cricket, no point buying fast bowlers if your wicketkeeper can't catch the ball. Because,
Mhm.
if the ball's going down, nobody's winning on that team. So, you've got to be able to catch and keep those leads. And that's really, really important. How are
Yeah.
you, how are you approaching clients that come to you where you see that deficiency? They want big, but they're not willing to play big to catch big.
Yeah, great question. I'm not a sales guy, so this is not a sales pitch by any means. It's just as far as we operate. I mean, we heavily invest in our clients in terms of making sure they have the training and things that they need. My team is incredible at helping with like phones, treatment presentation. We have really great relationships with financing partners where we're able to train how to use it as a tool for a sale. So we just spend that extra time. If it's out of my purview, I have people that I trust that are great consultants that we can refer a doctor to if they need help beyond what we can do. But a lot of it is just kind of building a cadence. And then if there's a need for a follow-up email sequence or some kind of automation help. I'm not a huge fan of AI and automation on the front end, but once you have connection and you have trust with somebody, sure, like it's fine. So it kind of depends on the practice, but we have solutions. We really invest in helping our clients succeed comprehensively, from digital marketing to ground and community-based marketing to real strategy to, once that lead comes in, helping them close more treatment and more cases. And also just helping our doctors to maximize the value of every single butt that's in the chair so they don't constantly have to chase new patients. We're maximizing every person that comes into the practice that's in the chair. Are we doing everything we can to help them strategize to make that appointment as valuable as possible to the practice? And one way we do that, I call it the golden runway, but you can call it whatever you want. But one of the most underutilized times, Doc, just in dental, kind of in mass, right, is from that time that the appointment is confirmed to when the person comes in, because you have their attention for that window of time. And it's a great time to sell or to educate, because you're constantly trying to get people's attention in a world that's bombarding everybody all the time. So if they have an appointment coming, if you text, call, or email them, chances are they're going to read it, open it, pay attention to it, because they know that appointment's coming. And so if you look at your appointments and you think, and I've had clients do this with great success, like if it's a hygiene appointment, if we're pitching whitening chairside, easy add-on, more valuable appointment, just an example. We're pitching whitening chairside and they don't have a good close rate. Okay, we can address that. Or maybe it's just one of those things where if you ask people for more money, it's just kind of knee jerk to say no. Or if it's like, hey, I need more of your time, and they have to go back to work, pick up their kids, whatever it may be. They want white teeth, but they've got to go. So you have barriers to selling the service chairside that you can alleviate if you use this golden runway effectively. So like when they confirm that hygiene appointment, just send them an email or a message, maybe a video, whatever you want to do, and just say, hey, whitening's, X amount more effective after a professional cleaning. We can add it to your appointment. It's going to add this much time. It costs this much. Do you want to add it? We'll give you 10% off, whatever you want to do. Click here. And people can add on services before they come in, but it's a great use of that window where most people don't even utilize that window other than sending appointment confirms, but they're not utilizing it. If it's a denture appointment, talk to them about implants in the lead up and just say, hey, we have a more permanent solution. Like if you don't ever want to be self-conscious at holiday dinners again, let's talk. Right. And that too, Doc, is another thing that a lot of dentists can do, is shift the messaging throughout the year. Like your dentistry, the need for dentistry moves throughout the year for people. So, first part of the year, you can really hit on cosmetic cases, making people healthier, making them look better. Because for that first 6 weeks of the year, everybody's going to the gym. Everybody's doing all the self-improvement things. It's a great time. Gyms are great for dental practices. You have health conscious people that care about what they look like. That's your home run patient. So great time to talk about that messaging. Now is a good time. You've got back to school coming. You're moving into the winter months. You can start talking to 2026 brides now. Like, hey, let's start moving and beautifying now so you look good in May. Hey, mom, your kid graduates in May. Let's start moving teeth now so they look awesome for graduation photos. If you can just fold it into people's lifestyle, even bridal parties with, like, instead of, hey, $500,000 off whitening or whatever you want to run, and I'll just say on whitening because we were there. If you just ran, hey, before you say I do, come see us, or something like that, really simple, where if a bride sees it, she's going to go, oh yeah, I probably should go get my teeth whitened, huh? Whereas if you just hit her with that and she's not thinking about it, it's just scroll past. And this is
Yeah.
obviously very, very high level, Doc, but fold the dentistry into people's lifestyles, build towards your messaging towards, hey, we want to guide you to this outcome. And you will see your marketing transform in terms of how it converts, how people relate to it, how the word of mouth starts to take off in those other communities, and just be strategic. Like, again, if it's a denture patient, what can we talk to them about? If they're coming in for this service, what can we talk to them about? What do we want them to do? How can we use this brief period of time twice a year, maybe, that we get their attention locked in How can I use that time effectively? And that goes back to what we were talking about initially. Marketing companies should be doing this work. If you're paying me premium fees, which a lot of dental tax is in there, right? If you're paying premium fees, it's expensive. It's not valuable. This should be valuable. You should be doing this kind of work to help a dental practice grow, because this is the business model. You got to build connection with people. You got to fold people into the service. And if you're not doing that as a marketing company, you're underserving the business. And it is what it is. Because in an experience and relationship business like dentistry, most of them are small businesses that have a geoproximal location. This is how you work these businesses. This is how these businesses grow, is connection, relationship, maximizing appointments, and respecting the fact that, yeah, every day that goes by, docs' shoulders get a little bit weaker. Their hands get a little bit weaker. Got to maximize profitability now. And if you don't have that same kind of hunger as a marketer of, I got to go get it for my doc because that's what I do, am I really providing a valuable service?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. If you're not providing that for your doc, you're really just holding out your hand and just taking as much as you can without giving back. The more we give, the more we get back. Zig Ziglar said it, didn't he? He said, we'll always get what we want if we can only help enough people get what they want.
Right.
And so that's what a marketer has to do for you. He has to help you grow your business, not just sell your marketing.
Exactly. It can't be set it and forget it, generic stuff. People are afraid of dentists. So white coat anxiety is real. White coats, loops, sharp tools, all that stuff. Dentistry, people understand. If you say you're a dentist, they get it. They know that you're smart. They know that you're accomplished. They know that you're capable of working on their teeth. And a lot of the marketing, it's like they continue to try to qualify and convince the patient that the doctor's capable. They understand that. And this is what I learned, Dr. Moffet, when I started. Me talking about dentistry all the time, people already give me that, right? Like you and I were joking, talking offline, but when I likened it to the car dealership, if you go to a car dealership and the salesman says, well, all of our cars have brakes, you'll be like, okay, like I kind of figured that, right? But if you say, hey, I'm a dentist, and I keep saying, well, hey, that he works on teeth, Dr. Moffet, he works on teeth, they understand it. And so if you keep hitting them with the message, it just falls on deaf ears, because it's like, I already know that you do that. I know you're smart. I know you can work on teeth or help me get to an outcome or refer me where I need to go to get healthy or look better, sleep better, whatever it may be. So why do you keep telling me that? I want to know, why should I pick you? And if it's something as simple as you play guitar and I play guitar and we have that commonality, right? Or if there's 300 people at a party and you're at a party, like say you come to Kansas City to see me, which I'm trying to get you here, by the way. But let's say you come out here and visit and we're out somewhere and I walk off and you're by yourself and you see somebody with maybe like an Australia sweatshirt or something. You would be more comfortable going up to that one person and being like, where'd you get that? Or like, what's the story with that? It's the same kind of premise here. There's 5 doctors, but I have this in common with that one. Immediately, you're not as scary anymore. Immediately, I have a connection with you. And that's how, with herd mentality, but that's how we're wired as humans, is we look for commonality, because commonality generally means safety. So if I'm looking at 5 docs and I feel like this person is more like me, that's my doctor. That's who I want to go to. They get me. I'm going to get a better experience here because I feel connected to this doctor. And guess what, doc? This is why referrals work. That's the Pandora's box. It's because you take the fear basis down when your friend or family member or coworker says, this place is awesome. All the fear goes away because they validated all the apprehension and the patient just comes. Doesn't matter if they have to drive further. They're not asking, well, how much is it? They just come. You can replicate that across your marketing if you're really specific and intentional with who you are, why you do what you do, and you clearly communicate it to people. People will respond to it.
Yeah, I remember through my career, of 28 years of owning and running my own practice, that I'd get people who, I remember one chap, he said to me, he said, look, you and I have different political persuasions. He says, let's just leave it at that, but I want to be your patient and I want you to be my dentist. And I thought that was a really respectful thing to say. Just cut the politics out of the discussion. Let's just talk about other things.
Mhm.
And you get that. You'll get people, for whatever reason, they identify with you, and their long-term respect for you. Even now, I've been out of my office over 10 years, but on Facebook, I see whose birthday it is. I go, gee, that patient's still a friend of mine on Facebook. And I go, that's kind of funny that he's lurking around in the background. And sometimes just have some correspondence, when patients are, or former patients are traveling, and you say, wow, thanks for sending those great photos, and vice versa. So it goes far beyond just what you do. It's about who you are, and do people identify with you. I even had my patients reading my articles on how to grow a dental practice and saying, that's why we came to you, because you did that for us. I thought that was kind of weird that they were, after I'd stopped being their dentist, they were still following what I did. But
That's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's a relationship.
And the beauty of it too, like the political situation too, chances are he has friends that probably are aligned on the political front that he is, but he can say like, yeah, like that's not an issue. Like Doc's cool. It's all good. And so the word of mouth marketing still works, and you're still fueling growth because you're giving people a great experience.
Yeah. I remember we had one patient who, he just cancelled his appointment, very short notice, good patient. And he just said, look, I can't get here. He said, I'll call you. And I think it was actually to Cedar Crown. And we go, gee, that's odd for him to do that. Anyway, when he came in a week later, he said, look, sorry. He said, we just had some really bad news. My son's wife, their baby died in utero, and so they had to have a stillborn baby. And I was able to identify with him because I'd lived through that myself with my own wife. And it was funny when this patient's wife came in, she said she was talking to my wife, and she just said, look, she said, I've just realized something. She said, you guys aren't my dentist. You're my friends. You're here for us. And
that's huge.
And it's just being able to connect on that. It's funny. I've got a client, and she'll begin the call, how are you? And I go, oh, I've got laryngitis. And she goes, oh, you had a good holiday. Let's get down to it now. I'm going, where's the connection?
Well, I mean, I love following your Instagram. I always see glasses of Guinness showing up all over the place, which is always cool. But that really is it, Doc. And especially with, corporate moving in and just all the changes, that connection and relationship and desire to be cared for and all, the quality patients that you want, those are still going to be important to those people. There's some people that price doesn't matter. If they feel like they're going to get a better experience, you're going to take better care of their kid, or you were there for them in a dark moment, or you helped them through something, or you can even empathize with them, and you see them and you know their name and you remember their dog's name, and that's the stuff that people want in a business that's primarily led by fear. Like, it's hard to make a switch to a new dentist. That's why people generally don't really like to, unless they kind of have to. And that's also why you see when you acquire a practice, you see that attrition kind of happen, because it's like, oh, well, our connection is gone. And it never was the location really or anything, as much as it was just that relationship with that doctor. And I say all that to say, like, these principles, I think you're going to see kind of a resurgence in this relationship based, experience based coming in, because you've got so many of these corporate models out there, and you're starting to see this push of AI. I don't think in terms of like answering phones during business hours, there's a use for it. But in terms of AI and a lot of doctors, like I've seen people even talking about getting rid of their front desk and stuff like that. You're hamstringing yourself, because that's what people know. That's the thing that makes you different. And if everybody's the same and it's just a robot, well, now we're pushing back into, okay, well, all I have to make a decision on is price and proximity, because there's no other differentiators now as far as the experience goes. So all that to say, I think the principles, and I love your content too, but what you're teaching now, I think is really important, and hopefully what we're able to do educating doctors too, because I think you're going to see a shift back to people want this kind of care. They want this kind of relationship from their dentist. They want the extra time because they're scared, they're apprehensive. Dentistry, even if it becomes more streamlined operationally and all those things, you still have that fear basis kind of leading the charge for 60+% of people, where they're coming in nervous. and taking this time with them and making sure that that's a part of who you are and what you do, I think you're always going to win personally through the ups and downs of the industry, because I think people are going to always want it. I don't ever see a period of time where people go to the dentist and just roll in like anything else. And it's, there's not an aspect of building some kind of a connection with them personally.
Sean, you raise a really good point for my viewers and listeners, the dentist, because we get complacent about what we do because we're so used to giving needles that we forget that everybody on the sharp end of the needle doesn't want the needle. And because they can't see what's going on, there's a lot of trust they have to have. And so they have this fear of the unknown, and we can't just brush that aside. We've got to deal with it, address it, and get a result each time. And sometimes it's the same thing every time that patient comes in. We know our nervous patients who don't like to sit there waiting, so they'll make their appointment first thing in the morning or first one after lunch, so they can just come in and go straight into the chair. I'm in the chair, get me done, because they're scared. But we forget that after a while because we're just saying shot, shot, shot. We're just so used to doing that. And sometimes we need to remind ourselves that behind every tooth, behind every mouth is a person with feelings and emotions. And we've got to address that. And when we address that correctly, then we've got a patient who'll follow us forever and be our friend forever.
And I love that you said that, Doc, because if you think about kind of the at the beginning of the call, we were going through kind of the ineffective messaging. You're right. Like they're scared it's going to hurt. They're going to get an infection. Something's going to happen. So we have scared of, obviously scared of pain, scared of whatever. And then all of that fear. And then you say, hey, guess what? I'll do that real cheap. One of those things where it's like, I'm afraid you're going to hurt me. I'm afraid it's going to hurt. I'm afraid it could get infected. I'm afraid of a lot of different things could happen. I went on Reddit and I Googled what I'm going through and, worst thing ever, doomsday scenario. And then you lead with, well, hey, I'll do that real cheap. Not a good message when you think of the emotional drivers. It's funny, and I'll share this with you too, because this actually happened recently. So I had a friend of mine who went to a dental practice. She moved and she went to a new dental practice and went in, credit card in hand, ready to go. Didn't ask about a new patient special, nothing. She just knew what she needed, went in. The girl at the front desk is trained what to do with new patients. So she told her, oh, well, you're a new patient. You get 50% off. Gave her 50% off. My friend wasn't asking for it, wasn't expecting it, would have paid whatever. But because that was what they did, she gave her the discount and all sorts of discounts. Even though my friend didn't want it, wasn't expecting it. That's another one of those moments where it's like, okay, that's how many times are you doing that a day, a week, a month in the practice? What's going on at the front desk? Are they doing that when people aren't asking about it? Why are we giving discounts when we don't even have to give discounts in the first place? And we're giving discounts when we already have them. She didn't even want the discount. She wasn't even expecting. Of course, she took it, but she wasn't expecting it. And this friend doesn't work in dentistry, but because I do, of course, she told me. But she was just floored that they did that, and she was ready, willing. Here's my card, and the lady just did it. And I share that to say, like you said, to remember the emotional side of it too. But also, you don't have to give everything away in order to be successful. And on that fear basis, if people think you're going to take care of them, they don't expect discounts. The part of paying that extra fee is they trust you. Like you said, they trust that it's going to be a good experience. You're going to act in their best interest. You're going to fix whatever's wrong. And so really rest in that when somebody chooses you, they're giving you a lot of trust in the first place. You are running specials. If you have been talked into doing that by a marketing company, or if your team is in a kind of like a rinse repeat type mindset of every new patient gets X, look at that, because I was completely shocked that happened. And then just to think, if you kind of extrapolate that out, what that's costing that practice, just because that's something that they do for whatever reason, whether it's wanted or not, or even asked about or not. But all the extra dentistry that doctor has to do to make up for the unneeded discount in the first place.
It's scary that dentists still believe that. I learned very quickly in my career, Sean, that I didn't judge my fees based on what my neighbours were charging. I judged them on the economics. If inflation was running at 10%, as it was back in the 90s, then I needed to put my fees up 10% to keep myself even with the economy. Otherwise, I'm actually giving myself a discount in income by not keeping my fees in line with inflation. What I found was that as I put my fees up, irrespective of my neighbours, is that they weren't putting their fees up. And so I became known as somebody who charged a little more, but I got a better quality of patient who expected that if they're paying a little more, they were going to get a little more, which they did. And so that was how I was known in my local chamber of commerce. People say, where do I go to the dentist? And they say, I've just moved here. Where do I go to the dentist? And the people would say, you've got to go and see David at Active Dental. It's going to cost you a little bit more, but it's worth it. And that's all I wanted to be known for. Value for what you spend, more value than what you expect. And so you know it. If you buy an expensive car, you expect it to not have any rattles, to have a longer warranty, to perform better because you've paid more for it. And it should be the same with your teeth. If you do good dentistry, you should charge what your dentistry is worth.
Absolutely. And part of those fees is that trust for the outcome. There's not a lot of things that people willingly buy that they're afraid of. I mean, I always joke, you got like skydiving school and tattoo shops, maybe. There's not a lot of stuff out there that people have that uneasiness, apprehension behind the buying decision. And yeah, I mean, if the same thing with the patient referral, if you've been validated as safe and a great experience, people worry about, people always figure out a way to pay for it. Like they'll figure it out later. They'll ask you about it later, but they're going to come to that practice because the friend referred them or whatever it may be, even if you have to drive a little bit further. All that to say, the core tenets of what you're talking about and kind of what I've been going through too with what we do, if you really can identify why you do what you do, what it is about you that's unique and unique aspects of your patient experience. And there's a lot of different ways for a practice to do this. Because of course, when I speak about this, Doc, the first thing people ask me is, hey, that sounds great, but how do I do this? Right? Spend the time to think about, why did you get into this field? What do you want to be known for? So like you said, hey, they get more here. I charge a higher fee, but they get a lot more and they get time, they get attention, right? Sit down and sketch that out. If that's not, you don't want to do that model, that's fine. What else do you want to do that's different? But really spend the time. And if you were in any other business, you would do this. Kind of develop your core. Like, this is who we are. This is what we do. Get some core tenets of this is what the business is built on: integrity, transparency, whatever it may be. Build those out. And it's usually the teams respond to it because it's kind of a rallying cry. It's good because you get everybody on the same page. Really identify what it is about your patient experience that makes you unique. And what I see a lot, Dr. Moffat, is the practice will tell me all these really amazing things that they do, but it's nowhere in their marketing. But they do all of these amazing things. And then if I go read the reviews for the practice, people are getting other amazing things that they're doing that they're not meaning to do, but they're just doing. And so the best thing that you can do as a dental practice is identify who you are and what you do, and have that align with the experience of what people are getting. So if you can get, here's who we are to match, here's what people are getting, that's the perfect brand symmetry happening. And I always tell offices, like, identify what makes you unique. What's really cool? What are you most proud of in your patient experience or just about how you do things? And then go read your Google reviews, because you're probably doing stuff that people love, that it's just a product of who the doctor is or the front desk or the hygienist or whoever. Or there's just little things that you do that to you isn't a big deal, but to them is everything. And then try to get all of that to condense down in your messaging and put it out there for people to see. And you'd be amazed, in a relationship and experience business where fear statistically is a high driver, if I can set expectation, meet expectation, just that, what that does for word of mouth marketing for that practice. So like when they came to see you, everybody got a very high touch, very premium feeling dental appointment, because that expectation was set and you hit the mark and the brand did really well. So practical application for this. Think about who you are, what you want to be known for, identify it, list it out, get your team on board. This is why we do what we do. This is how every patient experience goes. Look at your reviews and see, are there things that we're doing? Are there things that we shouldn't be doing that people are picking up on? But try to get cohesion and build your experience. So the expectation is set, you're beating those expectations, but at least meeting them, and watch what happens to your branding, your community perception, how ads convert, word of mouth marketing. You create brand advocates. You don't just create people that talk about you if somebody asks them. You have people that are proactively saying, that was the best dental experience I ever had. You can build those people, and there's a lot of them out there that if you can align with who they are and give them a great experience, they will sing your praises all over town. And it's good for you because usually those kind of people have friends and family members who have the same hobbies and interests, and there's a lot of commonality with those groups. So it's spider webs, and you start to get these really solid patient flows that come in, and all you're doing is, hey, this is the system. We're checking every box. Everybody's having a good experience. Out the door they go. You don't constantly have to even rely forever on just spending in perpetuity. You can start to really harness internally the patients that you have. And all you're doing is identifying, this is who we are, this is who we serve. If this sounds like what you want, we'll give it to you. Look at all these other people we've done it for. It's like the perfect branding synergy for a dental practice, and practices can set themselves up for long-term success. Lots of goodwill, lots of community outward marketing, the stuff you can't pay for, you earn it. The stuff that you did, doctor, you got to earn that stuff. You can't, you can pay for a lot of things, but that word of mouth, you know, standing in front of church, catching up with everybody, people talking about how amazing you are, you can't buy that. You got to earn it. But if you can do that, the pressure comes off the doctor, the pressure comes off the team. The doctor can be who they are. They can practice how they see and how they've always envisioned it. The team has clear directives. They understand what we're doing, right? And the patients are loving it because you're just doing what you said that you were going to do to a very high level, and you didn't miss anything. And it just starts to work. And the doctors can actually enjoy being a dentist, and they don't have to worry about being a marketer. Did they get the update done to the website? We've been waiting for 3 weeks. They spelled the assistant's name wrong, whatever it may be. Dumb problems to have for a business that has the income levels that dental practices generate. But at the same point, there's an opportunity cost for a doctor jacking with a marketing company. They should be doing dentistry, and doing dentistry to a level that it's not something that they don't necessarily hate.
Yeah, I think your patients can always tell if the dentist doesn't enjoy what they do or if they do enjoy what they do. And they also can tell whether the team enjoy working with their dentist or whether they don't. And so it's important to have that synergy with the dentist and the patients, and the dentist and the team, and the team and the patients. It's a three-way thing. And if we work on that philosophy in our practice, that what we do is for the benefit of the patient. In fact, I was talking to a client yesterday, and they were talking about hiring a new graduate dentist. And I said, how's it? I said, who expects excellence? And she's going, I said, your patients do. So why give a new graduate a full mouth veneer case when you've got a dentist there who does them really well in the same office? Why would you disappoint that patient? And they're going, what am I doing in here? This dentist's taking forever. They expect to get the best service in that office. It's the same for root canals. If one of my family members needs a root canal, I'm not the guy. I'll send you to the specialist because he's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've got to say what's best for my patient in this, rather than I'll have a go and see how it goes. I don't think people want that. Not in here.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah. Couldn't agree more. And I share that to say, when I talk about this, I feel like doctors sometimes get overwhelmed because it does sound like a lot of work. It's really not. You're just putting more of who you are into your business versus all the filler junk that's in there, ins and outs of procedures and things like that. Just talk about who you are. You play guitar, great. Talk about it. Most doctors, their bio's backwards. It's like 4 or 5 paragraphs of how smart they are and all the stuff that they've done. And there's like 3 sentences about who they are. Make it 4 or 5 paragraphs about who you are, and understand that people already know that you're smart, highly capable. You don't have to convince them anymore of those things. But if you think about, if you're in an area, there's a lot of families. So you're probably going to have mom is going to be your big demographic. Like that's the decision maker, the appointment setter. She's bringing people to the appointments, right? All those things. And if, you're a doctor that's married, has kids, the whole deal, but all she sees is young guy in scrubs with his hair slicked back, doesn't tell her anything. But if she sees that you're married and have kids and things, you're stable, you understand children, you give her a lot of emotional cues that just soothe her into like, oh, this like, you know, walls coming down. This seems like a really good place as kids. High level example, but it's not that hard to move the needle of being the doctor that people choose if you can hit on just that little thing of safety that makes you different. So instead of a picture of you in scrubs, hair slicked back, have a picture of you pushing your kids on a swing. And
Yeah.
if you're in a heavily family area, watch what that does to people picking you. Because that's the thing, Dr. Moffat, you can pay a company like me all the money in the world to be top 3 on Google. It's the best you can do. Top 3, you still have a 1 in 3 chance of getting picked. So we're only getting you 33% odds. And if all we're giving price and proximity, there's a lot better odds that the person, if they do pick you, is not going to be a super great patient. But if I can give little nudges and a mom's up at 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, finding a dentist for the family, and all I have to do is show that, hey, you're a husband and a dad. And that's all she needs to feel more comfortable with you than the other super clinical websites that she's looking at. Done. I've done my job. Phone's ringing, filling out forms, scheduling appointments. You give them a great experience that aligns with, she reads everything on your website. She reads your Google reviews. He comes in and gets that same experience. Perfect. And then she's going to go out and her friend, oh yeah, who'd you get? Did you guys find a dentist? Brand advocate. Boom. And it just starts to spread. Cost per patient acquisition starts to naturally come down because we're not having to spend so much money all the time chasing, but we're getting good people in. And this is a high level example, but it is a tenet of what I'm talking about. That little change to your imagery and your presentation can, 3, 4, 10x your conversion rate, which means you're getting more quality at bats, you're more profitable, and you're giving them a good experience. So you're just automatically building advocates. So every person that leaves the practice, everybody that leaves your practice tomorrow, somebody's going to say, how was the dentist today? And they're going to answer them. So are you controlling that at all? But if you build these little systems, you can really build solid advocates for you everywhere you go. And it works beautifully. And doctors see 10, 11x return. So for every dollar they're spending on marketing now, we're getting, up to 11x. Some of our clients have seen crazy numbers up to in gross production. And when I can show a doctor, hey, for every dollar we're spending, we're getting you 3x, 5x, 7x back, they love it.
Yeah.
Their job, their just job happiness is going up, more in tune with who they are. All of these human emotion things, these aren't gimmicks, just all these human emotion things are starting to work. We're doing little strategic things where we're talking about whitening when they confirm, and we're using the window, and we're doing all this stuff. It just all works beautifully for that practice to grow. And I love to see it. I love to see doctors, just the face the doctors make when we start having meetings and they see their numbers and how the marketing is actually helping them grow. It's one of my favorite things.
Well, that face that you love to see is exactly what the doctor loves to see in the patients when they do good dentistry on them as well.
Mhm.
A happy patient makes the doctor happy. And you're right. Sometimes it's a very ungratifying profession. People want to get out of your office as quickly as they can as well. I don't want to be here any longer than I have to. Thanks for doing a good
Right.
job. For every patient that says, look, don't take it personally, but I hate being here. That can wear you down as well. So it is a tough job to do. And despite the fact that dentists are known for earning a lot of money, there's a lot of people who wouldn't want to be a dentist for quids. I
Mhm.
couldn't do that, stick my hands in those mouths all day, deal with cranky people all day, but deal with people who hate you all day. So it is a tough profession. Sean,
Yeah.
we've come to the end of our time. It's been great chatting with you and great seeing your perspective, because your perspective is so different to what dentists are getting from their average marketer. And so with that in mind, as you mentioned at the start about being based in the US but looking to grow internationally, how can anybody who's watching this podcast, be they in America, Canada, or Australia, or England, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can find us at artofdentalmarketing.com. Obviously, we're on Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. You can find me personally on Instagram too. It's just story-based Sean. But you can message me on Instagram. You can reach us through the website. We have a lot of content and things we're always posting. And then I also have my group called The Art of Dental Marketing that's on Facebook, where I talk about a lot of this stuff. We talk about some advanced concepts, and I kind of share videos and tips and trips with doctors all the time. Yesterday, we were talking about this new thing where people are having AI write Google reviews, and that's a whole new frontier. But we were talking about that. But we talk about a lot of different stuff in the group. So feel free to join the group, but reach out to me through our social media channels, reach out to me personally. I still talk to every doctor that's considering working with ADM. I still do ground marketing, like community based coaching type stuff with every doctor that comes through the door here because I love it and I genuinely enjoy it, but I'm always available. So reach out to me on Instagram, reach out to me on Facebook, join the Facebook group, or just go to artofdentalmarketing.com and schedule a call. Happy to help your doctors, even if you don't work with ADM, just to kind of give you some ideas of how you can get more of a conversion aspect going to your marketing instead of just constantly focusing on visibility, help you actually monetize the butts in your share to be better, give you some pointers and ideas. Happy to do that for your audience, doc. So if you could just let me know that you heard me on Dr. Moffet's podcast, and I would happily spend that time with you.
Sean, thanks very much. It's been great, and the time has gone really, really quickly. Really
Hmm.
appreciate the information that you've shared. And for anybody who's looking at improving their marketing in their dental practice, reach out, have a chat with Sean, and I'm sure to be able to help you get a better result than what you're getting from your generic marketers. Sean Hamel, thanks for being a guest on the Ultimate Dental Podcast. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Dr. Moffet. I always appreciate you.
Thank you for tuning in to another inspiring episode of the Ultimate Dental Podcast. We appreciate each and every one of you for being a part of our dental community and joining us each week on this incredible journey. If you found value in today's episode and you don't want to miss out on future episodes packed with expert insights and actionable strategies, here's how you can stay connected with us. Firstly, hit that subscribe button. Whether you're listening on your favorite podcast platform or watching on our website, subscribing ensures you'll never miss an episode. Secondly, share the love. If you know a fellow dentist or colleague who could benefit from the wisdom and knowledge that we share here, please share our podcast with them. Also, please share the podcast on your socials by simply clicking on the social icons wherever you view or listen to this podcast. Together, we can all do our bit to elevate the dental profession. And finally, stay engaged with us. We love hearing from you. Your questions, comments, and feedback fuel our mission to provide the best content for your professional growth, your personal growth, and for your practice growth. Remember, your journey to creating a dental practice and a business life that you love is our mission, and we're excited to be your trusted guide along the way. Thank you for being a part of the Ultimate Dental Podcast. Until next time, keep smiling, keep striving, and keep on tuning in to the Ultimate Dental Podcast.